Hi everyone, my name's Margot, and I am the author of the book in progress, Touch Me, I'm Sick, a memoir about the intersections of chronic illness, trauma, intimacy, and care. I'd like to read a little bit from the introduction to help explain why this book means so much to me. I've known sickness for most of my life. When I was 9, my mom was diagnosed with cervical cancer, and she died when I was 11. Shortly after her death, my father began to develop a rare form of Lou Gehrig's disease. Only 10% of cases live longer than 10 years. My dad had the disease for 20 years before he died. 2 years before his death, I too got sick. Though if I look back on it, I'd been sick for most of my life. Sickness has always been a pervasive presence. Care, on the other hand, was more of a spectral presence. After my mother's death, I became the primary caregiver for my younger brother, managing all of the household duties while my dad worked. Within a few years, I became a primary caregiver for him too. My relationship with care is thus marked by ambivalence. Being a young caregiver is a kind of trauma. My ambivalent relationship to care is heightened by the fact that many health professionals have suggested that the onset of fibromyalgia was my body's way of telling me that it was exhausted from 2 decades of caring for my family. Looking back on my childhood and adolescence, I wonder why my father never asked for help from our extended family. I wonder why, after my mother's death, no thought was given to whether my brother and I might need support in processing that loss. Why was care such a scarce resource? One possible answer to this question is that my father refused the offers of care that were extended to him. I believe that he had internalized the myth of the individual, and so he strived to be an aspirational disabled person. To ask for help would be to admit weakness, a sign that he was failing as a father. But the system failed him too. When I was 18, he applied for government disability support and was denied, despite letters from neurologists detailing how he could no longer use his arms. After going through the appeal process, he was approved and thus could start to receive visits from at-home care attendants. During that time, I flunked out of university. The pressure of being a student, a caregiver, and working 20 hours a week to help pay our rent was just too much. I can't help but wonder what our lives would have been like if community care was the norm rather than the exception. This speculation brings with it much grief, and it is this grief that propels me towards the imaginings within the pages of Touch Me, I'm Sick. I believe that when we heal ourselves, we heal the world we live in. I know that this book is not going to change the world, but my hope is that it gives others a language for understanding that there is nothing broken about them, nothing about them in need of a cure. And my other hope is to offer some pathways for reimagining the shapes and forms that intimacy and care and interdependence can take, because we all deserve to be cared for in all of our messiness. In order to bring these hopes to life, I need your support.